Hey everyone, back with another round of box office predictions, and this weekend's gonna be a big one, but before we get to, it's Justice League, let's recap what happened last weekend, because I went 5 for 5. Thor Ragnarok came out on top with $57.1 million. Then at number 2, it was Daddy's Home 2 with $29.7 million. Murder on the Orient Express came in right behind that at number 3 with $28.7 million. Then at number 4, we had A Bad Mom's Christmas with $11.5 million. And then finally, Jigsaw at number 5 with $3.4 million. Moving on to this weekend's predictions. At number 5, I've got newcomer Wonder. I've been hearing some pretty good things about this one, and I do hope that the positive buzz helps it along, but I just don't think it's been promoted enough to give it a really big opening weekend. It might seem like a weird comparison, but I'm looking at the 2010 release Morning Glory to figure out the number on this one. That opened with about $9 million at about the same time of year, so considering the fact that Wonder is getting 500 more theaters than that one, I'm going to boost that number up to $10 million for Wonder for its opening weekend. Now on to my number 4 pick, and that is where I have Murder on the Orient Express. So, Daddy's Home 2 and Murder on the Orient Express opened with roughly the same amounts last weekend, but I'm actually thinking that between the two, Daddy's Home has the better chance of having the longer legs. When you look at their cinema scores, Daddy's Home 2 has an A and Murder on the Orient Express only has a B, so I'm giving Murder on the Orient Express that number 4 spot, and I'm also thinking it might have a little bit of a rough go at it this weekend, just because we've got Thor taking a chunk of money, we've got Justice League taking a lot of it, so I'd be surprised if Murder on the Orient Express managed to lose any less than 60%, and if it does lose 60% of its opening weekend profits, that's going to leave it with about $11 million for its second weekend out. Now moving on to number 3, it's Daddy's Home. I got a pretty good feeling about Daddy's Home 2 this weekend, actually. So trying to figure out what the number might be, I can't really use Daddy's Home because that one, in its second weekend out, it had a holiday weekend to work with. If I move on to that one's third weekend out, though, it only dropped 49%. So taking into account that Daddy's Home 2 performed pretty well in its first weekend out, it has an A on Cinema Score, there's no new comedy competition, I'm going to bring that percent change down to 45%. That would give Daddy's Home 2 another $16 million, easily securing the number 3 spot. No surprise here, at number 2, I have Thor Ragnarok. So obviously Thor is going to take a big hit because of Justice League, but really, considering how well it's performed so far, I'd be surprised if it dropped more than 60%. So even if I work with that number, that still leaves Thor with $23 million for its third weekend out. Now, on to my number 1. Obviously, it's Justice League. So just a little while back, I was thinking that Justice League could have a huge opening of something like $145 million. However, I do need to take into consideration recent tracking reports, which peg it around $110 million. I do think that's a little low, though, because really, it's a fun movie, and also it's shorter, and that means that people can see it more easily, and they can also see it more often. And I have a feeling that repeat viewings might help this one out a little. So I'm going to raise that $110 million tracking prediction to, let's say, $115 million. Let's recap my weekend predictions. At number 1, I have Justice League with $115 million. At number 2, I have Thor Ragnarok with $23 million. Number 3 is going to Daddy's Home 2 with $16 million. Murder on the Orient Express is taking number 4 with $11 million. And then we've got Wonder rounding out the top 5 with $10 million. Those are my predictions. It is your turn now. Hit that comment section, especially for Justice League. I want to know what you think that movie is making, so sound off in the comments below. And now it's time for a good old Patreon shout out. This one is going to Jimmy. Jimmy, thank you so much for your continued support. I hope you enjoyed the movie Racing Dreams. Thank you to everybody out there who's watching and predicting right along with me. I will be back next week to check out the results and do a whole nother round of box office predictions.